this major hurricane is bearing down on Jamaica. This could be the strongest storm there in decades. It's called Hurricane Melissa, and it was just upgraded to a Category 5 storm. That means the winds are roughly 145 miles per hour. Basically, forecasters are warning of catastrophic flooding and landslides. They say, Jim, it could have up to 40 inches of rain possible during its time moving across Jamaica. So it's a very slow moving storm. That makes it even more dangerous. It's already killed 4 people across Haiti and the Dominican Republic.
I mean, that number, 40 inches of rain, I don't know that I've ever heard that before. So let's get some perspective on this from AccuWeather Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Porter with the latest. Jonathan, thanks for joining us. It's slow moving. That does not portend well for Jamaica. What do you expect over, say, the next 24 hours and beyond?
Well, Jim and Allison, good morning. I think you made the key point, which is this is a slow-moving storm. It's a very intense storm, and this is going to be a slow-moving natural disaster with catastrophic impacts in Jamaica. Here's the latest on the storm. Notice the storm is located well to the south of the United States, well south of South Florida, just off the coast of Jamaica here, and it's moving very slowly, around 5 miles per hour. And that slow motion is going to be a problem because it's going to prolong those significant impacts from the destructive winds, the significant storm surge, and as you mentioned, that flooding rainfall. And that, to put that flooding rain risk into perspective, we have an AccuWeather local storm max of 50 inches on this storm, which means that the maximum conceivable value, somebody may get 50 inches of rain. And Jim and Allison, that would be a problem anywhere. But it's especially a problem in the steep terrain of the Caribbean, where we're going to be dealing with widespread mudslides and serious catastrophic flooding that's going to result in a humanitarian crisis.
So let's talk about that, Jonathan, because I know that the warnings are going out, being issued to people in Jamaica. What are they supposed to do at this hour if they can't get off the island?
Well, their local government in Jamaica certainly is advising people to shelter in as safest location that they can. Of course, the first thing that they have to worry about is the destructive winds. They have to be in a structure, also away from the coastline where a significant storm surge is going to occur, and not near creeks, rivers, and streams. That can be a real problem, of course, and in areas of steep terrain as it relates to this mudslide risk. We have been talking about the wind pattern with the storm, and look at the area that we're concerned about from a wind perspective here, and that damaging wind is going to move right up through the western part of Jamaica and much of the island during the day tomorrow. We're expecting landfall of the storm on the western part of Jamaica around 7 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. And then the core of the storm is going to move right up through Jamaica, and then it will head up toward Cuba and eventually the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. So a widespread area across the Caribbean at risk from the storm. And we have rated this storm since since last Thursday as a 5, the top designation on AccuWeather's real impact scale for hurricanes.
And you got to wonder, does a small island like Jamaica have the infrastructure necessary to safely house its population in structures that will protect them from things like flooding? Just very worrisome. Any impact that we can expect on the U.S. coast in the coming days?
Well, Jim, the story about that is it looks like the storm will be passing well south and east of Florida. That was one area that we were concerned about, the risk for impacts there. But the latest trends suggest that it will pass through the Bahamas, well south and east. The only other place that we've got to look middle to end of the week would be up in northern Maine or Atlantic Canada as the storm continues to make its way to the north. It looks like it's going to stay well off the coast, but that's another area to check on here and follow on the AccuWeather app and AccuWeather.com here through the week.
Jonathan, I don't know if you can go back to that previous screen, that graphic that you had, but I do want to touch on it, that it's not just, people don't need to just be afraid of flooding. There's all of this fallout also that people are going to be struggling with for a long time.
Right. It's very difficult to put words around how serious a situation this can be. You can remember all the devastating impacts from the hurricanes that have happened in the Caribbean over recent years. This one, we're talking about the widespread risk of injuries and loss of life, and people. There are going to be a tremendous number of people, Jim and Allison, that are in need of the basics: food, water, medical care. and also significant issues here as it relates to failure of power and other infrastructure, and of course the risk for disease from poor sanitation after the storm. The bottom line is this is going to require a lot of international support, and we're going to be talking about a recovery that will be years and perhaps a decade or more in some of the hardest hit areas, a true tragedy.
Oh my
AccuWeather
goodness.
Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Porter, that's just sobering. We appreciate sounding the alarm, and we need to be cognizant of they're going to need a lot of help, Allison. And it's tomorrow at about this time that it's really going to be bearing down on that island.